Infinite divine presence, holy center of life, right here, right now, everywhere present, is that infinite creative source that is all that is. That holy center of life that is the beginning and the ending of all. It encompasses all, inspires, guides, and protects all of its creation. And it is the very source of each and every one of us. It is this power and presence of life that breathes us, that thinks us, that lives us, that is our very being. And its nature is wholeness and love, peace, balance and order, joy, power and abundance. Each and every one of us is that which Spirit is, full and complete and perfect. And I know that this is also true of this service today. This celebration together of that holy center of life that we are. And so I know that this service is blessed from the very beginning to the end because we are here and we are Spirit in expression, celebrating the joy of life on this beautiful Mother's Day Sunday. And so I know that everyone that participates in this service in any way is blessed, is uplifted, is inspired. And I am so grateful for this time together, for this holy celebration of life. And so I just let that beauty unfold and know that it's good. And so it is. My name is Brenda Cobrin. I am one of your professional prayer practitioners here at the center. And if you would, please join me in the affirmation which is projected on the walls. My mind is filled with clear and specific thoughts about the nature of divinity and my identification with it. I am guided from within to live with integrity and grace.
Wow. Good morning, beautiful people of the Center for Spiritual Living.
Good morning.
And a happy Mother's Day to all of you. Every year on Mother's Day, we take a little time in our service to acknowledge those people who fulfill the role of mother in this world, because after all, where would we be without our mothers? So if you are a mother, won't you please stand so we may appreciate your role? And please remain standing if you're a grandmother. And please remain standing if you are a great-grandmother. And do we have any great-great-great-great-grandmothers? We have them, they're just not here today. We have another flower dedication that came from William Mabel, who decorated the stage. He said, we have to have a dedication of flowers for the mothers in our congregation, and so he brought it from his own garden to celebrate you. We also like to acknowledge that sometimes life brings us to perform or to stand in the role of mother, whether or not we are biologically of the right gender or if it is our own biological children. So I appreciate and acknowledge those people who've assisted in providing motherly guidance in the absence of a mother. And so thank you for that role too. As you heard from Jennifer's announcement, our theme for this month is integrity. And the chapter we're reading along, if you're reading along from A New Design for Living, is chapter 20. And it is all about spiritual practice. So we're matching integrity with spiritual practice in some ways. And that's what the subchapter assigned to today is about. The subchapter's title is There Are Always Results. And we started talking about that last week, saying that if you're doing your thing, by that I mean your spiritual practice, you can expect results. It's very dependable. Once you're doing your practice, you can expect results. So this chapter, there are always results. Another way of saying the same thing is there are always consequences. For your actions, for your thoughts, for your words, for your spiritual practice, for everything. In fact, the authors write about it in this way, saying, at any given time, we're all asserting something or affirming something or thinking something. It could be, I am happy. It could be, I am sad. It could be, I am right. It could be, I'm no good. And whatever it is I'm asserting, we can expect the associated consequences that go along with that. Because we do not ever escape from the creative nature of our whole being. So we're learning to pay attention to that, to be observant of the connections between my inner world and my outer life experience, to see when I think, act, and speak in a certain way, does it match the direction that I'm hoping for life to develop in? Looking for an integrity and harmony between the inner and the outer. Rabbi Kushner wrote about integrity. He's the author of Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. And he wrote, when you have integrity, then all of your aspirations are focused in one direction. And so that's what we're looking at, the focus. If there's harmony in the direction that we're focusing in and our inner values, how we show up, how we talk, having congruence between what I say, think, and do and my values. So a good question to begin with for this week would be this. Are your life's actions in harmony with what you say you believe is important, valuable, and true? See, to me, practicing integrity is pretty much a case of getting clear on what I stand for, what I value, knowing that, and then to the best of my ability to be true to that, or at least to grow into that, in that direction. And you may be one of those people that has already given very serious thought to what you stand for, what your values are, what you will do and what you won't do. You may understand what the difference is between a preference and something that is truly substantially important for you. Or you may be one of those people like me who from time to time needs a tune-up. You know, something to refresh, to get back in sync with what I know is important, but I haven't been fully embracing it. I discovered that when I do refresh and get clear on what I value and practice having integrity or congruence with those values, I can expect certain very clear benefits in my life. For example, when I'm in harmony with my values, it assists me in making decisions that I can be at peace with, that I can be proud of, that I can live with. Because I'm putting what is very important to my inner life in first place and choosing with that as my guide. It could be very gentle. For example, on Thursday, I had the opportunity to go to see the pre-concert, the tuning at the Green Music Center. Sherry Corbett called and said, I've got an extra ticket. Would you like to go? And oh, I wanted to go. So bad. But I had also been invited to go and attend the One Heart Choir after-season potluck. And gratitude and acknowledgement is very high in terms of values for me. And so guided by that, I chose to go to the potluck, and I'm so glad I did. Because I got to interact with and talk to and connect with people who give so much time and energy and music for our whole center. And I left feeling so heart opened, and I can see how choosing from my value put me in the right place. Oh, I would have loved to have gone to the concert, but I don't feel like I've missed anything. Here's another benefit. When I'm clear on what I value, it helps me decide on how to invest my time and my energy and my money. I had a little insight into that just the other day. I was shopping at Oliver's, and there on the receipt on the Oliver slip, it says, X amount of dollars spent on products from Sonoma County. And I noticed that that's a high value in me. I can see that when I am aware of what my value is, I can feel good about contributing to the economy of this county. So it's been influencing me. So now, yes, I will buy the more expensive olive oil because it's made in Northern California. I can see how clarity around my values is affecting my choices. Another benefit of being clear on what I value is that it helps me to speak up when I witness something that conflicts with my soul, my heart, my values, instead of just enduring it or letting it slide. You see, I think I have to say that in the past, my value might have been to be popular or to be accepted. So what I would do is I would not speak up in a meeting or a group where something was happening that was in conflict with my soul. But I learned, like from the Center for Spiritual Living's teaching, I learned to speak up about let my voice be spoken with compassion and respect. And I discovered that creates a different kind of popularity, the one I was really hungry for. Because when you and I know where we stand and what we are for, it develops mutual respect. There's another benefit, I believe, that we can receive from being clear on what our values are, and that is, it raises the bar for us personally, because then people start to notice it and expect it. So then a lapse becomes an issue. And it becomes more and more difficult to live with lapses, and it kind of forces a cleanse. It's like a spiritual cleanse. You're going to have to be this stated value, one way or the other. So I've learned to expect these beneficial responses, results, when I aspire to live in harmony with my values. And on the other hand, I've learned that I can very easily make my life extraordinarily complicated and difficult when I just step out of integrity with my values. And I've also learned to have tremendous compassion for myself and for other people who fall short of their own mark, who can't maintain their practice of being in integrity for whatever reason. Don't we all have Achilles' heels? I don't know what it is for you, but maybe it's like that situation that you just can't forgive yet. Or maybe it's that person who pushes every one of your buttons and you've been working on it. Whatever, it's that's something. Oh, that's something. You've all got one. I've got a couple. And we're all working on it. We're working on it at our own pace, to the best of our ability. I had to correct in me an attitude that I learned from our society, and it goes something like this. If you have a stated value, and I catch you living out of integrity with your stated value, I'm going to disqualify you permanently. And you will never be entitled to claim that value ever again, because it means something permanently wrong about your character and sincerity. And it's just not the case. It's inhumane. And it doesn't match reality. It's not how we are. So I'm learning to adjust the tendency to focus only on where you fell down or I fell down and forget all the other times when you didn't. Yesterday I was joking around with my friend Bob Hart, and doing goofy things, and in the middle of it he said jokingly, "And you're supposed to be my spiritual role model?" Which it was all said in fun, but later on in the day I got to thinking about my own spiritual role models and how strict I am about their behavior. And I place upon them an almost superhuman expectation that they never, ever, ever waver from their stated values. Otherwise, it's all over for them, and I will trade them in for another unsuspecting role model on whom I can project my unreasonable standards all over again. The reality is that, we see each other. When we can drop these crazy constructs, we can see each other. And when we are living our values, we don't even need to announce what they are, because people will just experience it. They'll experience what we stand for by who we are until we don't stand in our integrity. And it happens. It just happens. I value kindness. And I notice sometimes that I'm very unkind. I value forgiveness as the pathway to freedom. And I notice sometimes I struggle with holding a grudge. I value compassionate communication, nonviolent communication, mindful speaking. And I notice sometimes I choose words that are filled with mischief. Yeah? Mm. And I'm so very grateful to those people who have not given up on me. When they've witnessed me during the times of my more distressing behavior. Yeah? And I'm trying to do the same. I'm trying to do the same for others. But I don't want to say it's not important to raise the bar for myself. I want to keep on refreshing and looking up and lifting up and improving, get a greater mental equivalent, we say in our tradition. And so I know that it's if you and I want to have a feeling of being personally honest to our inner life and our values, or if we want to have a better sense of our place and weight in the world, or if we want to experience ourselves as being unconflicted against our own soul, I think an important step might be to become clear on what you value, what you stand for. And when I say become clear, I mean maybe even take it a step further than just hearing about it today. Take it to a place where you explore it so you can plainly say, what is important, what I value in my life is A, B, and C. You can name it because you know what it is. Because when you can plainly name what your values are, it's much easier to check if you're holding integrity with it. It'll be easier for you. And how do you know what you value right now? Well, one of the illustrations I like to use over and over again is imagine that you're at your own funeral. And they're doing the, what's that called? The eulogy. And they're saying, that Edward, he stood for what? What will they say? Or that Jane, she was always so very kind and generous. Or that Sarah, she never said an unkind word. And my guess is that people in attendance at that memorial will know that there were times when you didn't quite make the mark of that. They'll understand. Because that's more humane. That's the way of things. It'll be okay. Some questions to dwell on. Do your children know what you value? Or if you don't have children in your life, do the young people around you know what you stand for? And if you don't have young people around you, do the important people, the people that mean a lot to you, are they able to tell from the way you live what your values are? And if they were to ask you, would you be able to plainly answer? When I learned about this a long time ago and I was exploring my own values, I did the recommended experiment of asking the people closest to me what they perceived were my values. And they didn't all get it right. It was a refreshing awareness. And so I had to ask the question, and it's a good question to ask frequently, what do I need to bring into integrity so that the people around me can plainly see who I am? If I value the ecology, do I recycle? Does it match? If I say I value friendship, am I loyal? I say I value loving kindness. Is there evidence? And if there's a lot of work to be done when you start discovering this, don't worry. We're all working, and it's where prayer becomes very useful and helpful. You can go after the service to the chapel and get a short prayer. And I also recommending hiring, on a fee-for-service basis, one of our prayer practitioners to act like a spiritual coach to really explore this with you and help set you on a trajectory to embody the values that are important to you. Or you could begin today with a self-assessment of your own. You just need a notepad. You sit down quietly and make a list of all the people in your life who've been influential, the people who've caused you to think seriously about your actions. Write their name down, and then write down the qualities next to their name that you admire. Get a whole bunch of these qualities on a page, and then just sit with them, look at them, sort them out, and see if among all these qualities, say 2 or 3 or 4 emerge to the top as really having resonance with you. And then take those and stick with them for 30 days. Every morning, sit and look at one of the words and ask yourself the question, if I were to value X, how would I show up today? People will notice something. You can expect it. Definite results come. I want to end with a story about 4 chaplains whose actions in life illustrated what their values were. They didn't need to put up a sign. Their lives told the story. These 4 chaplains found themselves on the evening of February 2nd, 1943, on board a luxury coastal liner that had been converted into our army transport ship carrying almost 1,000 soldiers and seamen and workers. And they were on their way from Newfoundland to an American base in Greenland. And they were just 150 miles away from their destination when a submarine shot 3 torpedoes at them and critically damaged the ship. And the ship began to rapidly take on water and sink. And the blast itself already killed and damaged, injured many people on board. So eventually the order was given to abandon ship in the icy Atlantic waters. And through the chaos, and this is according to surviving eyewitnesses, the 4 army chaplains brought hope in time of despair and light to the darkness that was being experienced on that day. And they were Lieutenant George Fox, a Methodist, Lieutenant Alexander Good, Jewish, Lieutenant George Washington, Catholic, and Lieutenant Clark Poling, Dutch Reformed. And the eyewitness says the chaplains worked quickly and quietly, moving among the people, trying to calm those who were frightened and to tend to the wounded and to give guidance to those people who had been disoriented by the blast. And then they opened a storage locker and began to systematically distribute life jackets. And then when there were no more life jackets, they removed their own and gave them to 4 frightened young people. On the website of the 4 Chaplains Memorial Foundation, one eyewitness says, "It was the finest thing I have ever seen or hoped to see this side of heaven," said John Ladd, a survivor who saw the chaplain's selfless act. Ladd's response is understandable. The altruistic action of the 4 chaplains constitutes one of the purest spiritual and ethical acts a person can make. When giving their life jackets, Rabbi Good did not call out for a Jew. Father Washington did not call out for a Catholic, nor did the Reverends Fox and Poling call out for Protestants. No. They simply gave their life jackets to the next person in line. As the ship went down, survivors in nearby rafts could see the 4 chaplains, arms linked and braced against the slanting deck. Their voices could be heard offering prayers. Carl Sandburg once wrote, "Valor is a gift. Those having it never know for sure whether they have it until the test comes." That night, Reverend Fox, Rabbi Good, Reverend Poling, and Father Washington passed life's ultimate test. In doing so, they became an enduring example of extraordinary faith, courage, and selflessness. And the story leaves me with the question, what do I stand for? Let us pray. There is one life in and through all creation, the life that we are living. And when we say life, we mean God, the source of all life, from which we draw our breath, our creativity, that within us which causes us to love. And so today, by means of this prayer, we are reestablishing ourselves in this love, getting a clear identity of who we are in God and what God is in us, so that we may take a stand unconflicted, open-heartedly for and about this world. In our deep connection to all things and all people, we find comfort and hope and courage. And so it is that we move forward in this world, renewed and revitalized by that which has always been the truth of our being, one with the eternal heart of the world. In deepest gratitude for this thought, we release it, trusting the spiritual laws that govern the universe to establish us in the knowing of our true identity. And together we say, and so it is. And I invite you to breathe in with me and sigh. And we use that breath to build a bridge to the part of our service where we share. I invite the ushers to stand, and I invite you to take a gift in your hand and say after me our sharing affirmation. I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and prosper. It does amazing work in the world. Yeehaw. Ushers, please receive the gift.